All right, I'm going to play some Tour 4 here. I'm in my low-level account, my 99 account. I'm just trying to pick up these Grunberg slow poles for the upcoming Christmas tournament. I posted a playthrough with my 77 account using upper developed clubs and posted all the holes, and now I'm just trying to catch all of the holes with my low-level account. And I've gotten hole 8 par 4 like 6 times in a row. I think this is the first time I've been on this hole with this account. So when you're playing with lower developed clubs, the key is, get out a piece of paper. I'm going to give you the key, the secret to success with lower developed clubs. Okay, I'll wait till you get your piece of paper and your pen out. All right, stay in the fairway. That's really the secret to success. So I know when we have upper developed clubs, if you watched my walkthrough with my 77 account, we're talking about that. If you've been playing the game for a while and you've got upper developed stuff, you're going to bring out, in these tournaments, you're going, if you're trying to get that banner in some of these brackets, you're going to be going for it. But when you've got a low developed account, you've got lower level clubs, you will be amazed at how well you will do by staying in the fairway. So from that area, depending on the clubs, if you've got lower developed clubs, you may not be able to make it on from there, or you may have some difficulty. So if you've got lower developed clubs, then there's no reason why you have to take any risks. The whole goal is stay in the fairway. Use the clubs that you have. Stay out of the sand. Get a 2-ring grate to the left. Let's see if that'll stay in the fairway. 100% accurate club. Wow. That's why we bring out 100% accurate clubs. Because if you just shot that shot right there with an extra mile and then 2 rings to the left, you would have been in the rough. So when you've got lower developed clubs and you see somebody pull out that sniper or one of those really accurate clubs, and you're like, wow, that club's crap, it doesn't get the distance. You're right, it doesn't get the distance. But the thing is when you've got lower developed stuff, stay in the fairway. Try to stay away from overpowered shots. Now my opponent does have a shot coming on from there. It looked like anywhere you end up out there, you probably have a shot to get on. But you're shooting that with the worst clubs in your bag. It's always better to stay in the fairway. Play fairway to green. Fairway to fairway to green. I'm going to use my Saturn and run it up there a little bit, just because it's not that my Saturn has that, at this level, it doesn't have that much more ball guide than my big dog, but it has more ball guide than my big dog. I will tell you right now, if you want to know what your upper developed clubs, I'll give it to you in the order of magnitude. Ball guide, accuracy, all the rest of that stuff, you can survive without the rest of that stuff. You can make those clubs work. What will help get you higher up in the rankings is having ball guide and accuracy, because you can actually see where that ball is going up there. And so you can get it tighter to the hole. You can see where it's gonna, you can't see the roll off with lower developed clubs because the ball guide's not giving you the flat little tail at the very end. Try to Firefly sometime, and when you're playing the next friendly against one of your teammates, hit off of the green. Hit right before the green and try not to get on it, and pull out your Firefly, and you will see with a low developed Firefly how much ball guide it has. And imagine getting that look with every club in your bag, because you've got clubs that have 3.6, 3.8, 4.1, 4.2, 4.5 ball guide. So the whole deal about getting better clubs is it gives you ball guide. A lot of people are like, those clubs are what make the deal. The thing is you can get to Tour 7 and not have any wind skills. But once you get to Tour 7, if you don't develop a way to effectively deal with the wind, when you get to Tour 7 is when you really start getting into wind situations where wind is a big factor. And if you haven't developed the skills to be able to adjust for that wind, when you get to Tour 7, you're going to be in for a big surprise. And whether you've got better clubs or not, it's not really going to help you. So it's 2.5. I'm going to go about a ring and a half. It should be probably a ring and 2/3. Plus we're downhill and I should have over adjusted, but I'll hit great to the right and kind of compensate for that. And I didn't do that on purpose. It just happened to be that way. Let's see if Fat Boy can get me. Let's check out Fat Boy. Hasn't played any tournaments, 738 games, 641,001. Almost all of my coins have been won in tournaments. And almost all of my games are in tournaments. Got a 58% win percentage. That's awesome. This is definitely a second account for somebody. That's why they're not playing in tournaments. Good game. Stay in the fairway. When we're playing in this particular tournament, this Grünberg Slopes, there are, if you've got upper developed stuff and you are trying to get up there with those great clubs to get on the green and try and put the ball in the hole, and you've got great ball guide and great accuracy to help get that done, you're going to expend a lot of really big balls this week. Now, my goal here today was to open up to get 4 gold chests. I'm on a 15-game win streak, so I'm going to leave it there, but I'm going to keep playing just in case I have to buy a few balls in the weekend. Yeah, I don't want to play that. I'll play Tour 4. I haven't played any matches in Tour 5 with this account. It's only been Tour 4 and below. I have a few Tour 5 clubs that I won in the Golden Shot because that tour is available to me. So I have picked up a couple clubs in the Golden Shot. But I won't pick up anything higher than T5 just because I'm not playing any T5 to open up T6. And I'm not doing that on purpose. I'm building my clubs up. It's amazing to me with how few games I have, how high a level some of my clubs are. I think I've got enough. I just today got enough to upgrade my backbone to level 9. So it doesn't take that many games to get some of the very usable clubs that you're going to use for a long time in this game built up. This is a tough hole right here. This is one of the few par 5s in Golf Clash that this is a birdie hole and you're trying to pick up an eagle. It's not an eagle hole where you're trying to pick up an Albie, and that is an epic fail. Now I don't have the club. I don't have enough on my, if I'm using a Marlin ball. Let's switch bags here. I don't have enough top spin on this club. Maybe just enough to get over. I'm going to leave that wind in, and that'll help. That'll help get me over to the other side. No overpower. Next curl. Isn't it perfect? Just trying to get over to the other side. My opponent, epic fail. They are in the rough there, and they cannot. They're going to have a tough time just trying to get the birdie. I'm still going to have a tough time getting the birdie from where I'm at with these low developed clubs. It would be better here if I had a big dog. So I have a Viper, and I don't know if I can make it over to the preferred area. But when you're playing with lower developed clubs, the whole goal is stay in the fairway. You can't allow your opponent to get ahead of you like this. Hopefully we can get some more of those. I can get some more of those Grünberg slope holes with this account because I'm playing this account just with a Marlin and T4 clubs, and I've played 2 of the par 3s, and I've picked up 2 maybe 3 of the regular holes. I know I've hit 8. I don't know how many. A bunch. So ideally, you'd like to get over here, but I'm not going to be able to get over there. And what's the rule when you got lower developed stuff? Stay in the fairway. Don't pinch yourself up against stuff. I always like to be 2 rings. It's 1.9 per ring, so that's a perfect 2-ring pull. I always like to be 2 rings off of any transitional surface. So sometimes you'll see me set up a shot and you'll go, man, dude, if you move that over a little bit to the left, you could get right at it. But then I'd only be like a half a ring off of a transitional surface. So you can see where that bounced. Go back and rewind that video and see where that bounced. It was about a ring off. So if I would have pinched up against that and hit that great to the left, I'd have ended up in the rough right here. And that would be an epic fail. There's no way I can get up there, but I can get up from where I'm at. So I have the potential to get on the green and pick up my birdie and outright beat my opponent without having to go to a shootout. And I don't know about you, but if you played this game for a long time, you know how it works. You go to a lot of shootouts. You can prevent a lot of shootouts by beating people out on the course. And you're going to win a lot just because people are going to end up in the rough. They go from one rough area to another rough area. So my opponent can probably get on from there, but they didn't do themselves any favors. Right down on it. I could do the bounce over there, but the bounce over here is pretty tricky. It's 1.9 per ring, and that's a 1.7 pull. So I'm going to do a ring. And I like that kind of wind for that rough bump, because if I make a bad wind adjustment and I hit to the right, I can still end up on the green. If that would have been a headwind, I would have bounced over. I would have felt it would have been tricky. It would have been tricky either way. Thanks. Thank you, man. Get in the hole. And while I want to beat my opponent outright, I always encourage the other players out here, because it's really bad when people forfeit. Like, they're in this shot and they're like, they just forfeit. Try and figure out a way to get on. I'll tell you exactly what I do. I would come over to this fairway right here and I would do a max overpower hook shot and try and get it over to, if that was my only shot. I would do whatever it took to give me a look at it. Low percentage, I'm not sure there's enough decimal points to say how low of a percentage that would be, but I would do whatever I had to do to try and get on there. So like right here, I do a max overpower hook shot. The goal would be to get up on the green. I mean, the goal would be to get in the cup so you match up and go to a shootout, but that's not going to happen. You need to put yourself back into play. Birdie. So that right there is the minimum score on this hole. So when you come to this par 5, if you get this par 5 in play when you're playing T4, realize that this hole is a birdie hole. And I'm an Oregon Duck fan, and I've got an Oregon Duck here. Let's see if they'll rematch us. Come on, man. Come on. There you go. Awesome. Getting some replay with the Duck. So when you hear this sound right here when I'm setting stuff down, I play with a stylus. And so it's me setting my stylus down in between shots. I play with a carbon fiber stylus. So the tip is super sensitive, and it glides across the glass screen protector that I have. Okay, so with that wind, my chances, I'm going to have to do some weird overpowered something weird here, and I'm not going to do that. So once again, and actually, I want to keep my better hitting Viper in my bag, put all the backspin on it, and I'm going to just lay it up out here just for the wind. It's 2.4 per ring, so there's about 5, and it's a little over. Right back to the red line. Now in tournament play, I would never hit over here. I would always go to the other side, and I would bring out probably a Katana or a Titan, and in a tournament we wouldn't have a headwind here. Playdemic can almost always give us favorable wind on this hole. It'll be a side wind, but it'll be some type of favorable wind for us that's not giving us headwind. So with the clubs that I have and that Marlin ball, it's too dangerous. It's too dangerous to try and hit to the other side. And I've got a nice clean shot out there. So when you get on those holes and you're like, man, that wind sucks, I'm going to have a hard time, and you got to do some look around and go, okay, if I hit over there, I can still get on with my long iron instead of a short iron, maybe my wood, and it's a 100% guaranteed thing that I'm going to end up in the fairway. Why wouldn't you take that shot? Especially if you go second and your opponent went first and they decided they were going to go for it. You got to put the hammer down on them. Nicely done. Nicely done. I am in my wood. Where's my red line? So I'm about mid club. I like to be a couple rings off of any transitional surface. Turn my alarm off here. I keep thinking I need to put on 2 because it looks right with 2, and I keep bending up a little long, so I'm going to put 3 backspin on it. I'm trying to figure out that ball guide. So it's 3.8, 4.8, 5, somewhere around 3 rings. And I'm going to put a little bit of curl on it, just try and bring it back to the cup. And I hit it 70 rings great to the right, which took out all that curl. Now here's a killer when you got lower developed clubs. These fringe shots will eat your lunch. And you can use a dart, you can use some of those lower developed ones and go at it. And you look at the Firefly and you think, wow, this club sucks. It doesn't have anything. It's not very accurate. It doesn't have any backspin, doesn't have any of that stuff. What it does have is ball guide. And if you look at your clubs, what are you missing? Ball guide. And it has top spin. So you can use it like a rapier. If you watch people with upper developed clubs play, they have a rapier, and what I'll do is I'll run that top spin out, and it does 2 things. Number one, the closer you get the ring set to you, the more accurate that club is. And number 2, the closer you can get the ring set to you, there's less of a chance that wind will become a factor. So that's why I have a Firefly in my bag, even though it doesn't have, you look at the numbers and you go, wow, that's a really crappy club. It's actually an awesome wedge. Isn't it perfect? In the hole! The very first, when you first start playing like usable epics, there's not very many of them. Big topper, but as soon as you get a Firefly, it's almost instantly usable. I think you can really start using it at level 1, but I think it doesn't really hit its prime until it's like level 2, but you'll get cards for it because it's a Tour 2 club, so you're going to get cards for it, and you're going to get it up to level 2 and 3 pretty quick. But then what happens is you move up in tours and you start getting more epics and you start getting less cards for it. But you're going to get it to level 2 and 3 really fast. And it's very, very usable. And then you're going to get a big topper. And then really after that, you're not going to get any epics that are worth using until you can get them up in level. Until you get a Spitfire. When you get a Spitfire, pretty much from day 1, it is a usable club. See if they'll rematch. No rematch. Let's see, what am I on now? Am I on like just trying to see if I can get to a 20-game win streak with T4 clubs. I'm on a 17-game win streak. I got 3 more to go just to see if I can get. I'm gonna open up one of those chests. Let's see what we get here. Let's start one. Get one rolling. Rolling, rolling, rolling. So my whole goal is to help you. If you've got a lower developed account and you got lower developed clubs, my whole goal is to help you. When you first start playing in tournaments, you're going to get your lunch 8. And the deal is it's very easy to end up tournament after tournament after tournament when you've got lower developed clubs being in the bottom 60, bottom 70, maybe getting towards a 50, but you're going to be at the bottom of the bracket. And the deal is that you don't need to be at the bottom of the bracket. Just because you have low developed clubs doesn't mean that you can't play this game just as good as somebody else. They have, upper developed clubs have a better shot of picking one up. So on this hole right here, this par 5, we're trying to get an Albie. So with an upper developed club, you're going to come out here with your extra mile and you're going to try and pound that ball down here with a power 5 ball so that you can get down there into your short iron range. And if you've got a Hornet, and it's upper developed, you've got a super accurate club. But with lower developed clubs, we don't need to do that. All we need to do is to get to the top of this hill up here so that we can come into the green with a wood. Now, if you're going this way, I'll go this way. Putting on all of my massive topspin. Let's see. That way, that wind's going to be a little better for me, but I'm not sure I can get. I'm going to lay it up here at the top. I'll pull back a little so I can adjust the wind out. And I will put all the topspin on. And so my whole goal is to just end up in the fairway. So it's 2.4 per ring, so that's a perfect 2-ring pull. And I'm going to do a little extra just because I'm hitting against the headwind. Hitting it perfect. And just laying it up there at the top. I have no idea what my look as far as club is going to be from up here. But I know that while I have a Viper in this bag, I know from up here, if I was playing in this in a tournament, that I could get on from up there with a big dog. And from where I'm at, I'm easily going to be able to get on with my Viper. So don't blame. The deal is a lot of people blame where they're at on clubs. So they look at people at the top and they look at how many games they've played and they look at how much cash they've won. And you can extrapolate from that. Here's how you do it. You take how much somebody has earned and you divide that number by 2 because that number also includes their stake. So they only won half of that. You divide that by 2 and that'll you divide it by how many games they've won. And that'll tell you pretty much where most of their games have been played at. So when you see one of those $1 billion players, somebody who's won 1 billion coins, you can get an idea of what tour they're playing in based off of that. And that'll give you a good indication of how good their clubs are. Viper's 1.9 per ring, so that leaves me 6, so that's about a ring and a third. And I'm downhill, so I should do an overpull, so I'm going to do a little bit of an overpull. And I'm going to put all my massive curl on there to bring it back to the hole. Isn't it perfect? And you look at what kind of clubs they have, and people go, well, they're just beating us because they got better clubs. They can get a better score because they have better clubs. That's true. But you could be up at the top, in the top 20, with lower developed clubs just by staying in the fairway. Getting up here and getting the minimum score. The minimum score in this tournament is going to be minus 12. I can tell you that this particular tournament, it is going to be absolutely wild in the weekend in some of these brackets. But if you go out there and shoot the minus 12, minus 24, minus 24, that's going to move you up into in a low level rookie bracket. In a rookie bracket, you're going to be, top 30. And depending on, if you could pick one up here, just one per round, you could be easily looking at a top 20. The whole goal is to move yourself up through consistency. And the way you get consistent, one of my teammates and I were talking today, Terry, and we were talking about weekend round consistency. I missed that. So the deal is that you can play, let's say, okay, the course is minus 72, par is 72. and you shoot a minus, let's say the goal is to shoot a minus 30. And that means that you had to take 42 shots out there and they had to be absolutely perfect. And if you make one mistake, you shoot 37 perfect in a row, and then you make one mistake, that drops you to 29. Okay? And then, so now all of a sudden you went from a top 3 possible win to maybe 4th. If you drop 2, now you're looking at, you just put your top 10 in jeopardy, or at least your top 5 in jeopardy typically. So when you're playing out here, you have to play consistent. You got to be able to come to these holes and play them super consistent. And what that means is that you go from the tee to the fairway, from the fairway to the green, from the green into the cup. Can't miss putts like I just did. I'm sitting here talking to you about it and I missed that putt. And I don't like long putts. If you watch my channel on a regular basis, I'll tell you right now, I'm not the best putter in the world. And that's because I have a firm philosophy that there's 2 ways to approach this game. You can either get good at long putts, or you can get good at not having to take them. And I don't play this account very often, but I'm telling you right now, I'm working to get good at not having to take those putts. I'm trying to remember how to play my clubs. I've been playing this game for 2.5 years since the game first came out, and I had these low-level clubs 2.5 years ago and was playing 2 different accounts at the same time, so I got a little bit better read. On this hole, I do a 30% wind adjustment. So it's 1-6. Let's say that's 2, 4, 6. That'd be 2, 2. It's 1, 9. That leaves me 3. So it's just a little over a ring. Hitting it perfect. See, I don't know if there was enough backspin to get it to stop. It'll probably roll past. And it might engage that hill and roll down that hill. That's the problem. You got to have, when you do that shot right there, you need some backspin. You can get it done with a big dog. All right. I made an error on the course, but I came back and recovered. I'm not afraid of shootouts. You won't learn how to play those holes unless you play them, but the whole deal is that it's always better to just beat somebody outright right on the course. How much time we got here? I'm going to play one more, and then I'll post this video. I'm going to post the video as a whole, and then I will separate it out. If you guys are watching the channel, if you could subscribe, go down to the bottom right there and hit subscribe, like. That helps me out on the channel, any subscribers I get. If you don't like the channel, but you like the videos, hey, I appreciate you watching the videos. But if you like the videos, please subscribe. This is another prime hole. I really don't think I can get over there, not without wind. So once again, I don't really want to play that with my, I need to switch bags out. I need to switch that club out and get that big dog out of there. So I've got a Viper in this bag. I'm going to lay up here, but I'm going to leave myself enough room so I can adjust the wind out. So the 5-2. I'm going to rub against the nubs and put that overpower on it, but it didn't change the needle speed, but that's 1 ring of overpower. And I hit it 2 rings great to the left. And it'll go right down the fairway. There is absolutely no risk with that quarterback unless you hit a good that you're going to end up in the rough. That's the cool thing about using 100% accurate clubs. So if you've got lower developed clubs, don't discount that quarterback. That quarterback is an awesome club. Not necessarily in these 2 or 4, but throughout the game, there's a lot of holes that you can go out and play for the whole day just with a quarterback. And when you get on that hole and you go, wow, I can't reach that because I don't have enough power, then do the layup. There's another spot on that hole. Almost all of these holes have it where you can do a layup and get out in there with your quarterback and move on. That's why I keep that big dog in my bag, because some of those layups, a big dog is the club that you need to recover from having to do the layup. Big dog. Got a big headwind. Let's see if we can put some topspin, backspin on there to get it to stop before it rolls 1,000 miles past the hole. Kind of looks like it's going in the right direction. It's 2.4 per ring, so there's 4.8. That leaves me 5. So that's about a fifth of a ring. And we need to do a little bit of an over adjustment here, so I'm going to add on another fifth. Isn't it perfect? Let's see how right I got that, and see if I'm getting that closer to the hole. That right there is what I'm looking for when I'm using these clubs with low ball guide, is I'm trying to get that close to the hole, because that putt, the only way you're going to miss that putt is if you get lag. And trust me, I've missed that putt because I had lag, and it's possible. But I'm so happy when I have these lower developed clubs and I can get that close on a regular basis. That's what I'm looking for. My chances of getting in the hole are limited. Unless you're on one of those holes where you're like, hey, I need to put my white ring up against the rough and my blue ring up against the transition, and I need to put on 3.5 backspin, and then take out the wind, and you've got it set up like that. When you're out playing one-on-one, the whole goal is to just get that close so that you don't have those putts that you can miss like I did last time. That right there is going to be a very difficult putt. Very difficult. I like playing with the low-level account because, number one, I never have to bring out, in the tournaments, I bring out bigger balls, I'll bring out katanas, and I'll bring out titans, just because on some of those holes it makes it easier. But when you're playing one-on-one, I find very little reason to ever bring out anything more than a marlin, and I prefer a marlin from a white ball because of the side spin. I'm so used to being able to put on, that was unlucky. That was unlucky. That was a nice shot. Good game. I think that's total BS, that swirling the cup. My opponent's been playing in pro tournaments. I should have looked at them, because with 404 games, this is maybe one of those people that plays every other week. Let's see if they, what some of these people do. Most people have a misconception about how rookie works. So when you're playing in tournaments, there's rookie, there's rookie pro, there's rookie expert, rookie masters, there's pro expert, pro masters, there's expert, there's expert master, and there's masters. So there's more than just 4 brackets. There's 4 tournaments, but within that tournament, the way Playdemic's matching system works is when I play in the weekend round in this account has never been above rookie 3. So when I play with this account in the weekend round, it's every single person in that bracket is a rookie. They've never been higher than rookie. When I play on my 77 account, it has been expert 3 for a year, because I never play higher than Tour 7, so it'll never get higher than expert 3, because I'll never win enough in a week to get in a promotion zone. So in my weekend round, every single person, I'm going to play one more bonus hole, every single person in that bracket is an expert. Now they're either a current expert or they were a past expert, and you can tell based on how many games they played and how much money they've won, kind of where they've been. So every single person in there is an expert. That means out of 100, there's probably 75 of them that have just as good of clubs, just as much experience as me. Some people rush up and they go up too fast, and they get their lunches 8. Because if you want, the community says that you should run up as fast as you can and you need to get the masters, or you need to get the expert. You need to stay down and work on your clubs. And so but if, like my odd account, it was a master 3. So in my weekend round, every single person in the bracket is a master. or was a master. So like in the last tournament, the minimum score was minus 28. The top 92 people in the bracket shot a 28. So talk about tough competition. I mean, the brackets are tight. Okay. It's about just a little teeny bit of power that I need to use on there in order to be able to make sure I don't clip on the other side. Not a lot of power, but I need to put a little. And I did clip on the other side. The thing is, I can still make it from there. I can get up into the optimal spot. My opponent's going to have a hard time getting up far enough that they won't be able to get on in 3. This is a birdie hole. Remember, we played this earlier. This hole's been completely reconfigured. It used to be totally different, and we used to hit over to this area. That was the optimal area, and then you had a monster drive to get in. It was a super tough hole to get an eagle on. It's still a super tough hole. They said they reconfigured it so it would be easier to get an eagle, and you can get an eagle on it now. It is more common than it used to be, but it's still a very, very tough hole to play. Okay, so 3-6, that's about 2 rings. So I'm going to use the wind and let that wind push me forward. I'm going to come over a little bit so that it'll push me out into this area. Put curl on it to bring it back around to the other side. You got lower developed stuff, stay in the fairway. If you stay in the fairway and you hit fairway to green, fairway tee box to green, and you stay in the fairway, you can get a lot of stuff done with these low developed clubs. The whole goal is to try and help you get into the top 20 every week in those tournaments. And as you get your clubs developed and you start to develop some wind ring skills where you can adjust the wind out properly, then what you'll find is that the difference between the top 20 and the top 10 is a little bit of ball guide. And once you start getting your clubs developed enough that you start to get that ball guide, a lot of people have good clubs and they're still not very good players because they haven't spent the time and the effort to develop wind ring skills so that they can adjust out wind. You can go into my video playlist. That is a rough. I'm going to do this rough bump. It's 1.9. There's 3.8. There's 4.85. There's 4.8. Let's see if that works. With this kind of wind, that rough bump is dangerous. Danger, Will Robinson. Danger. And that's exactly why, because it's easy to overpull. Once you get over sand, that's the deal there is I made the proper wind adjustment. But once you get your ball over sand, how the wind affects your ball is different. And so it's real scary when you're in sand like that. So I just opened the door for my opponent to get back in the game. What I could have did was I could have did a bump from over here and then did the rough bump to get up on the green. It's real tricky here because if you roll past the green, you will end up on the other side, and it is super tough when you're down here on the backside. So that was me being arrogant and thinking I could do that rough bump with that tailwind. I normally would not do that, but that was me being seeing if I could get it done. Would have been nice to get that done, but I know better that when you get over sand and you start drawing over sand, that you're in trouble. Thing is, all I got to do is hit this perfect and it'll go in the hole. Wind's not going to be a factor, so it's all about hitting perfect. And I hit it 2 rings great to the right. And I was so close. That's why it's so close, because I was so close. If I'd hit it one ring great to the left or the right, it would have went in the hole. I opened the door for my opponent. I put my winning streak on the line. I got to go to a shootout. Lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. So for me, in my mind, that was an epic fail on that hole. I did two things. I screwed up a shot and opened the door for my opponent, and I didn't get the minimum score. So when you have lower developed clubs, whatever the minimum score is on that, unless you get some super drop and you get an eagle or you get an albatross, most of these holes, par threes, you're looking at birdie. Par fours, you're looking at birdie. Par fives, you're looking at eagle on most of them. At least we got one of the Greenberg holes at the very end. People are taking a rough bump here, and I don't like that rough bump because the rough bump is way down in the hole, and it's hard to make a good wind adjustment when you're down in that rough, trying to do that rough bump. And I'm not sure which way they're going to give us the wind in this tournament, so I'm reluctant to do the rough bump just because I don't think that the area down there is good. There's a lot of areas that are good rough bumps, but on this one, and I'll show you what I mean. Like when you get down into that, you can see how low that is down in that hole. So when you're trying to make a wind adjustment, it's very difficult. Let's see if I can get far enough back so I can see my ball guide. I'm going against the headwind, so I'm going to push up just a little. There is 3-8. There's 4-8. So we're a little over, we're probably a ring and 2 2/3 ring, somewhere in that neighborhood. Hitting it perfect. Trying to get close to the hole. The whole goal is to be within 2 yards. If you're within 2 yards and you lose, you got beat. But typically, if you're in the 2-yard range, you've put a lot of pressure on your opponent. I like going first in shootouts because I like to put that pressure on my opponent. All right, that was what did we get there? 42 minutes of play in T4 with low-level clubs. All right, let's see where we're at. I think that was, is that 18 in a row? 20 in a row. All right, I got a 20-game win streak with lower developed stuff. There you go. It's possible. Thanks for watching.